Good morning, my dear students. I hope all of you are doing fine. So, let's start our today's class. This is our 15th video lesson for class 9 life sciences. Okay, students, so now let's start our class. So, students, what you can see in this picture? Yes, students, just observe this picture for 30 seconds and tell me what you can observe from this picture. Okay, students? Right. So you can observe that there are different types of animals, isn't it? There are different types of animals, right? So we see that there are various types of animals, right? So that is the topic of our today's class. We are going to learn about the animals. Understood, students? So now let's proceed ahead. Students, have you ever heard of the term species? Yes, students, have you ever heard of the term species? I have taught you in my previous class. So, when we were describing the hierarchy of the classification, then I told you that the species is the unit of classification. Okay, students? Species is the unit of classification. And by the word species, we mean that those group of interrelated organisms that can reproduce among themselves, right? So there are many species, and since there are many species, so what is happening? There is species diversity. Okay. So what is species diversity? The presence of many types of organisms or many types of plants, many types of animals, many types of insects. So what is this? This is the species diversity. Right, students? Okay. So now let's begin our today's class. So students, the kingdom Animalia, which we are going to discuss, has some of the particular characteristics, right? So we have discussed in our previous class also that whenever we are classifying organisms into different groups, we are using what? We are using characteristics, and we are classifying the organisms based upon their characteristics only, right? So this kingdom Animalia also has some of the characteristics. So let's see what are the characteristics of the kingdom Animalia. Okay, students. So see here. First of all, these are organisms which are eukaryotic, multicellular, and heterotrophic. Right? These animals are eukaryotic, multicellular, and heterotrophic. And what we mean by these terms? We mean that first of all, these organisms have these organisms have a well-defined nucleus in their cell. Okay, students? Now, what we can say more? We can say that these organisms have multicellular organization. Means that these organisms has a body that is made up of more than one cells. Understood? Now, by heterotrophic, what we mean, students? Yes, by the term heterotrophic, we mean that these type of organisms, the organisms that are heterotrophic, don't make their own foods, right? The organisms that make their own food, we call them autotrophs, but heterotrophs are those organisms that don't make their own food. They depend upon the environment to get their food. Okay, students? Right. So these members of the kingdom Animalia, they do not have cell wall in their cell, right, students? The member of the kingdom Animalia do not have cell walls, right? After that, what we can say more? We can say that most of the animals are mobile. You might have seen a rat running around in your home, isn't it? You might have seen a bird fly, right? You might have seen a sparrow hook and then fly away, isn't it? You yourself go to your home and then come back to the school, isn't it? So most of the animals are mobile, but also there are some sedentary animals also. We will be looking at them also. Okay, students? Right. So now let's move ahead. Yes. So this kingdom Animalia is further classified. Okay. This kingdom Animalia is further classified. And how it is further classified, students? This kingdom is further classified based upon the extent and the type of body design. Okay. These are classified on the basis of extent and the type of body design differentiation found. Okay, so how much the body is differentiated, right? How much, what is the body design? So these basically serves the purpose of classification of animalia, right? Like we saw in the plant, there were three levels of classification. First, that is the body differentiated or not. Second was that is the body having some sort of vascular tissue or not. And third was that is it able to produce seeds or fruits or not, isn't it? So in the case of animalia, the classification is done on the basis of extent and the type of the body design differentiation. Okay, students? Right. So now let's move ahead. So there is a quiz for you students. So what you need to do is list the characteristics of kingdom Animalia. Okay students, what you need to do, you need to list the characteristics of kingdom Animalia. Right? So what are the characteristics of kingdom Animalia students? Okay, I will write it here. You write it with me. So first of all, they are eukaryotic. Right? They are eukaryotic. After that, what we can say? We can say they are multicellular. They are multicellular. They are heterotrophic. And what more we can say? They are mobile. So these are some of the characteristics of kingdom Animalia. Right, students? So now let's move ahead. So students, just observe this picture and tell me what you can see from this picture. Okay, students? I'm giving you 10 seconds to just observe this picture. You need to observe this picture first. Okay, students? Right. The time begins now. Yes. So, student, you know that this is a sponge, isn't it? This is a sponge. And when you will look at the sponge, what you will find? You will find that it has lots of pores in it, isn't it? The sponge is having lots of pores into it. Understood, students? So now let's look at this picture. Okay. Now take 10 seconds and look at this picture. What you can see in this picture, students? Yes. Okay, so this is also having pores, isn't it? Right. So this phylum of the animals is called as the phylum Porifera, right? And different organisms such as Euplectella, Cycon, Spongilla, these organisms are included into it. Okay, so just now let's see about the characteristics of the phylum Porifera. Okay, students. So the word porifera means the organisms with hole. Okay, students. The very word porifera means organisms with holes. Okay, students. These are non-motile animals, right? These are non-motile animals and are attached to some solid support. Okay, students. These are non-motile animals and these are attached to some sort of support, right? So a doubt might be coming into your mind that, sir, when we were describing the characteristics of animal, you told us that most of the animals are mobile, isn't it? But see here, students, I told you that most of the animals are mobile, not all of the animals are mobile. So this phylum, the animals are non-motile and they are attached to some solid support. Okay, students? Right. When you will observe these animals, what you will find? You will find holes in all their body, isn't it? You will find holes all across their body, right? So these holes or pores are present. These holes or pores are present all over their body. Okay. So this is the characteristics of the phylum Porifera, right? So what we have learned in Porifera? First thing is that the Porifera word itself means the organisms with hole. Okay, students? These are non-motile animals and these are attached to some solid support. Okay, students? The body is having holes. Okay, students? Right. Now see, there are some more characteristics of this phylum. So this pores that we saw, the pores that we saw here, you can see these pores, right? I'm just marking it here. These pores, these pores lead to a system, and this system is called as the canal system. This leads to the canal system that helps in circulating water throughout the body to bring in food and oxygen. Okay. So the holes present in the body of the porifera, what it does, it brings in water from the water bodies into the organism, right? And with the water, what comes? There comes food and oxygen. Okay, students? The porifera are covered on outside by hard layer or a skeleton. Okay, students? So they are covered by hard outside layer, or we can say it as a skeleton. Okay, students? Now remember what we saw in the beginning of this module, students. We saw a sponge. The sponge was also having pores, isn't it? So this phylum Porifera, the animals of this phylum Porifera is also called as sponges. Okay, students? What we call the common name for Porifera is sponges. They are commonly called as sponge, right? And they are mainly found in marine habitat. They are mainly found in marine habitat. And by the marine habitat, what we mean? By the word marine habitat, we mean that they are found where? They are found in the seas. Okay, students? They are found in seas. Right. So now let's move ahead. So students, can we list some characteristics of the phylum Porifera? Yes, students? Right. So some of the characteristics of the phylum Porifera are, first of all, they have pores all over their body, and since they are having pores all over their body, so that's why they are so named as Porifera, means pore bearing animals, right? They are sedentary, they are non-motile, and they are attached to some solid material, isn't it? These animals are non-motile, means these animals cannot move. Okay, students? Right. The pores that we were talking about, now suppose that. Now suppose this is the body of the porifera, then what will be done here? The water will be brought in through these pores and it will lead into the central canal. Okay. So the presence of central canal is also a characteristic feature of the phylum porifera. Okay, students? Right. So now let's move ahead. So students, what you can see from this picture, students? Yes? Okay, so you can see different types of jellyfish, isn't it? These are jellyfishes. So have you ever seen jellyfish in your real life, students? Yes, have you seen jellyfish? Okay, they are found in the seas. Very good, students. Now let's see where these jellyfish belong. Okay, in which phylum does this jellyfish belong? So student, this belongs to the phylum Coelenterata. Okay students, now just look at this picture and what you can find. Okay, let's see here. So these animals or the coelentrates are living in water. Okay, so these are aquatic animals. Okay, these are the aquatic animals. These animals are living in water and they show more body design differentiation, right? They have more body differentiation than the porifera. Okay, students? They have a cavity in their body. The phylum coelentrates, they have a cavity inside their body. Okay, students? Right. So the body is made up of two layers. Okay, students? You can see here the body is made up of two layers. The first layer is the epidermis or the ectoderm, and the second is the gastrodermis on the endoderm. Right? So the body is made up of two layers of cell. One makes up the outside of the body, and other makes up the inner lining of the body. Okay, students? So the cells that makes up the outer lining of the body, that is called as the epiderm or epidermis is present on the outside, and gastrodermis is present on the inner side. Okay, students, and there is a presence of what? There is presence of mesoglia. Okay, students, right. So some of these species live in colonies. Like when we talk about corals, the beautiful corals, these live in colonies. Okay, students. But there are other coelentrates that live a solitary lifespan, like Hydra. So Hydra lives in a solitude, means they live alone. Okay, students. Right. Now let's see, there is a quiz for you. Okay, students. So, in the first question, just look at the first question. Can you read the first question? Yes. The first question is, the two layers of body is seen in where? It is seen in pteridophytes. Is it seen in gymnosperms? Is it seen in porifera? Or is it seen in coelenterata? Tell me, students, what will be the correct answer? Okay, students? Right. So, the correct answer will be coelenterata. Okay, students? So, the coelenterata is the correct answer. Right. So, coelentrates are mostly found where? Yes, students? What will be the correct answer? Coelentrates are mostly found on, is it found on hills? Is it found on land? Is it found in homes? Or is it found in the seas? Yes, students? Right. So, coelentrates are mostly found in the seas. Right, students? Okay. So, now let's move ahead. So, students, in our today's class, what we have learned? We have learned about kingdom Animalia. Okay, students? We have learned about kingdom Animalia. We have also learned about Porifera and Coelenterata. So, now let's answer some of the question. Okay, students? So, let's describe the kingdom Animalia. Okay, students? So, the kingdom Animalia contains those organisms, those are first of all eukaryotic. After that, those organisms, those are multicellular and heterotrophic. Okay, students? Eukaryotic, multicellular, heterotrophic, and we say most of the animals are motile. Okay, students? Right. So, what is the characteristics of the kingdom Porifera? So, the characteristics of the kingdom Porifera are, first of all, the body is having pores. Second, the body is having a hard exoskeleton, or we say skeleton. After that, we can say those pores open into the canal that brings in fresh water and the oxygen. Okay, students? Right. So, can we name some organisms that belong to the category of Porifera? Yes, students. We can say cycon. We can say so. All the sponges belong to the category of Porifera. Like we can say cycon, isn't it? Ascon. So these all belong to the category of Porifera. So what are the characteristics of coelentrates, students? So the characteristics of coelentrate is that they have two layers of body wall. The outer one is called as the epidermis and the inner layer is called the gastrodermis. They have two stages in life like polyp and medusa. Okay, students? Right. So some of them live a sedentary lifestyle like Hydra, and some of them live in colonies like in case we see of corals. Okay, students? So list one organism that belong to the category of coelentrates. So when we talk about the coelentrates, we can say that Hydra, corals, these all belong to the category of coelentrates. Okay, students? Right. So now let's move ahead. This is your homework section. So in your homework, you need to attempt a quiz on quiz.com upon classifying animals. Okay, students? And after that, you need to differentiate between Porifera and Coelenterata. So that is your homework today. I am reading your homework once again. First of all, attempt a quiz on quiz.com. Okay, students, and share your marks with me. And after that, you need to differentiate between Porifera and Coelenterata based upon their characteristics. Okay, students, right? So that is all for our today's class. I am giving you 10 seconds. If you have any doubts, you can raise those doubts, or otherwise after 10 seconds, I am going to end this class. Okay, students? Yes. Okay. So I believe that there is no doubts in this class. So I am going to just end the class. So see you all students in the next class. Till then, take care. Thank you.